Oof. That looks just as painful as it actually was. One of my biggest takeaways from Rocky Mountain Race Week was the realization of how much movement is involved when trying to shift quickly. To help correct my botched shifts, I got my hands on a short throw shifter. This will be a simple upgrade with large benefits. Before we start, let's talk about how a short throw shifter works. The shifter lever pivots on this mounting point and is connected to the lever on the transmission at the bottom. Moving the shift lever forward moves the bottom lever backward. We'll call this a 1-to-1 ratio for simplicity. For every 1 inch of movement up top, the bottom will move 1 inch in the opposite direction. X designates how far the pivot point is from the lower lever. On a short throw shifter, the pivot point is moved up on the shift lever. This decreases the top half movement while increasing the bottom movement. Now the ratio would be 1 to 2. For every 1 inch of movement up top, the bottom now moves 2 inches. Now, because the pivot point was changed, the force needed to move the upper part increases. This keeps the whole equation happy. Math! Okay, enough of making my brain hurt. Start by removing the shift knob and the shift boot. A better order may be to remove the boot from the knob, then remove the knob, and then the boot. But I'm a difficult person. Fight me. This big ring of rubber is the inner shift boot. It helps keep noise and dirt out of the cabin. It should just pull right out if you can get a grip in the tight space. Time to move on to the bottom side. Squeeze on in there, there's plenty of space. There are two 10mm bolts at the base of the shifter assembly, a 13mm nut on the lower shift lever, and a 10mm bolt that holds the front shift mount in place. Be careful on that front 10mm. I ended up getting my wrench stuck a bit. Whoops. Get back in the cabin and feed the old shifter out of the hole. A wiggle here, some twisting there, it'll come right out. Let's compare the old and new style side by side. With the lower level holes lined up, we can clearly see the pivot point is higher up on the shaft than the old shifter. You will have to swap the old bushing from the old front mount to the new bracket. It will pry out with a flathead screwdriver, just take your time and don't use pliers. It may rip a bit if you do. Oh, and the two rubber bushings from the kit need to go between the bracket and the body. Install the new mounting bracket into the old position. Feed the new shift lever down through the hole and install 3 of the 6 bolts hand tight. We'll come back and get the rest later. Then go back under for the final time and bolt the lower lever in place. Go back up and install the final bolts. I wanted to see just how much shorter the throw would be between the two shifters. Here's the old shifter. It goes from 2 1/4 inches to 6 3/4 inches. Let's see the new short throw shifter. Whoa! 3 1/8 to 6 1/8 inches. That's crazy. The factory shifter had 4 1/2 inches of travel. The new shifter has 3 inches of travel. 1.5 inches of difference. Let's go for a drive and see how it feels.
That feels much better. Much quicker.